which is mostly still there, but unfortunately the club covered up in the 1980s, and the development on the guys with the balcony has unfortunately taken a lot of that away. But it's, you know, it's still formed the backdrop of all our famous kind of championships and things like that. It was given a major overhaul under the Jim Gregory era, which prolonged the life of the stand by considerable amount of years, new seating, new cladding. The Milton End, which was originally developed as a cop-style terrace, concreted in the late 20s, is now obviously pretty much a cowshed. The stand has been most needed being redeveloped now. The facilities up there are very, very basic, and it is an issue for the club, which we'll come on to in a moment. The North Stand, which in my personal opinion is the best stand, that's what I said, or used to stand. Obviously, for me, great memories of the North Terrace, you know, wonderful place to watch football. Developed in the mid-30s after selling Jimmy Allen to Aston Villa. And then obviously in the mid-90s we got the roof over the north lower. I always think how brilliant it may have been if we put that roof into the terrace. I think it would have been an amazing stand. The old Fratton End, built in 1957, was obviously, you know, the heartbeat of the club for many years. Sadly succumbed to concrete cancer in the late 80s, and we lost the rear half in 1988. And there's some sad photographs of it being demolished, and then we had the top photo showing that little hump of the stand for about 8 or 9 years, which, you know, really at the time the club was not a great place really. It was the wind used to whistle through the ground, and the club really struggled in the 90s, and I think a lot of that was down to the fact we didn't have a front end. Thankfully, of course, it was rebuilt again towards the end of the 90s. And this is how we see Fratton Park today, with our new name as Tesco. But the main thing there, of course, is that we've got the car park behind the North Stand, and we can increase that land ownership and be able to develop into it if we want to. Just a few things that is actually said earlier about things that we've never got on the drawing board. I mean, I've been on 100 slides on this, there's so many projects. The top ones are the Jim Gregory era, when he was looking at trying to rebuild the Fratton End and the Milton End. One of those was the only stand I think that the club has ever failed to get planning permission for. Farlington was in 93, and then the other image next to that was the original Pompey Centre plans that Mandrick put out, that soon changed to the rotation scheme. This will be our new state. Yeah, so we had the rotation scheme, then we had the infamous now hard development, which, you know, was a great idea, but there's never going to get on board. And then obviously Horsey as well, which again was, you know, very ambitious, but it got to the point where we, you know, no one was going to trust anything we ever say about redeveloping anything at the stadium because we've heard it before. And so on it. So, the future. As it stands, this is what the club now owns after the Tesco deal. The red outline is the club's ownership. You can see obviously the extra land we got was for the car park behind the North Stand. It does give us scope to be able to increase our capacity in 2 or 3 ways, whether we rotate, move around north, or just rebuild as we are. So these options are there. If, you know, so there is that opportunity. The way we've looked at it so far within the working group is to look at there's 3 options of what we can do for Fratton Park, or what we can do to move forward. One is to stay at Fratton Park and do nothing, which is not really an option because the ground is in a state where it can't carry on for much longer. The facilities are outdated, the Milton End is no longer fit for purpose, and obviously the maintenance costs year on year just continue to grow. Here's just a couple of images I took on Saturday. It just shows really that, you know, there are areas of Fratton Park which are in a pretty either a poor state or there's opportunities there still to do things. I mean, as I say, as a North Stand myself, I think there's great opportunities in the short term to be able to make more better use of the vast amount of space that's underneath the doors of the stand, and that would be something that we look at. The second option would be to stay at Fratton Park and rebuild. The premise there would be to do some sort of phase development when the budget permits. I've done some studies, which I'm sure some people have seen end up online. Partly because I put them there. There's room to build around about 30,000 seat stadium on the land, whichever way you figure it. And that would be, also that retains the familiarity of Fratton Park, which, as I was saying earlier, I think is quite a key important aspect of what makes us, what makes Fratton Park special. For me, I mean, as a community club, I think we need to, as a club, remember that there's a lot of businesses out there that actually get a lot of their trade on match days, so we need to be, wary of that if we're ever to move the club, because there's many pubs, bars, and cafeterias, etc., that would, get in a lot of trouble if we did move. So it's just something to think about when we discuss an issue. There you go. Yeah, there's my ideas that end up online. They're just, as I say, it's ideas to just kind of see how we get 30,000 seats on Fratton Park in the same orientation. They're nothing more than that. It's just really just a study to see what was achievable, and it's viable, and I think it is. So the third option would be to relocate to a new stadium. It could be part of an urban regeneration scheme. There's potential then to go bigger than 30,000 if we wanted to, and to tap into wider investment to be able to get better developers or naming rights, things like that. The big issue obviously we've got in Portsmouth is there's not a great deal of amount of land to go do this. So some more pretty pictures of current sort of schemes that are going on or been built in Emirates, Chelsea's ideas for Stamford Bridge, the redevelopment of Tottenham and Brentford as well, where the idea is obviously that urban regeneration is used as a big tool. Whether that's an option in Portsmouth is to be looked at. So to get back to the basics of why I'm actually here, so the club has set up a working group which is made up of three major stakeholders in the club: the club board, the president, and the PST. The club board's representative is Ian McGuinness, our chairman. It's the club chairman, I should say. The president's representative, one of the presidents, Peter Lee, and then I'm representing the trust on that working group. It's still very early days. We've literally had some tentative talks and looked into a few things, and that's pretty much been it. But it's very important to me at this early stage to make sure that as a PST board member, I'm engaging with our membership to be able to get the views of the fans on board. Hence, I want to set up this PST, so I call it a stadium subgroup just to try and differentiate it from the PST stadium working group, two working groups in this. A few years back, when we did the Safe Standing Roadshow here, I remember I just laid out some plans for Fratton Park, and people came along and we put post-it notes on the ground on the plan where you thought things could be improved. I've still got all that stuff. It's informed me quite a lot more than I'm doing in the meantime. There's little things like that, how we can get fans' ideas and views. And it's amazing how somebody will have a really thinks a wacky idea and actually turns out to be a really good one. So there's great opportunities to get as much information from the fan base to inform us what we can do moving forward. So the aim of the stadium work group from the club point of view is to look at the stadium strategy for short-term, medium-term and long-term. To say short-term wise, there are opportunities to just improve facilities. As I say, like under the North Stand, there's opportunities there to make facilities a bit better. In medium term, again, it's looking at things maybe like building end, which is in a state where it can't really go on much longer. Potential to maybe redevelop that or do something in the medium term. And the long term vision is actually what we want to do in terms of moving the whole thing forward, whether we stay or go. So that just shows the structure of the group that we've discussed. So we've got the working group of three key stakeholders, and then the way I look at it is I will be the conduit of the chair between that, the club working group, and then our fans working group. So what's next? The PST members are asked to express an interest in being involved. As it stands, I mean, obviously this is great, there's so many people here tonight. I don't know how many people are going to really want to be involved in this kind of group, so it'll be good initially to get feedback, gauge level of interest, just even down to silly things like how many groups are really meeting. We will then set up that meeting to discuss how we mobilise the group, how we start to collate information, set up questionnaires, surveys, to get those ideas from the fan base and put together perhaps a stadium working group committee to be tasked with various topics such as design issues, revenue funding, and specialist user groups such as like disabled, etc. So that's kind of the premise of it. So the aim of the subgroup will be to provide fans input, ideas, opinions, and findings on short, medium, and long-term strategies for the future of PST infrastructure. I think that at the moment it's still very early days, and partly I'm keeping it a bit sort of vague because I think it should be down to us as a collective to have some steer on this rather than these like impose my ideas on it. So to get involved, the easiest way is going to be to email us up with the trust email address, which is stadium@pompeytrust.com, which if anyone's interested at any level and want to express their interest, they can just send an email to that email address, and I'll add it to the mailing list, and then once we'll just do it a couple of weeks, let people get those emails in, we can then start to think about how to set up our first meeting and take it forward from there. And then at that form we'll begin brainstorming ideas, formulating the key topics of research, etc. So hopefully it won't just be there on and I think that's it really, so thank you for your time. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much, Dan. It's the main reason I came today, to see what we might do with our stadium. And all the past history, where we've looked at plans and management with this contract, it's been rather good. We've obviously put in a lot of work here, and from staying at this particular site in Fratton Park, which I think would be a good idea, you've shown some plans that would give an attendance of 30,000. From that plan, it looked as though there was a big extension on the north stand, and there's an extension on the Milton end. Can you tell me, please, what kind of costings we're talking about here for these particular projects? And I'm asking you here, just for a ballpark figure, what would each section cost?
Yeah, it's a good question because it depends when you do it. I mean, at the moment, in the last year or two, obviously steel prices have gone down, so that'll help with the costs. But I mean, you're probably looking at, they used to say £1,000 a seat for a stand. I think they're probably nearer to £2,000 a seat these days, especially for the complexity of the work that we have to do that. So whatever your annual capacity, if you went, £1,700 to £2,000 a seat. So the image that I showed earlier, which is sort of 12,000 north stand, you can see you're looking at about £25 million, which is a considerable sum. Yeah. So I mean, that would always be the biggest element of the region if we were to do it that way. Let's not get ourselves. This would be a rather long scheme. I think Bristol City currently redeveloping National Gate. It's a very similar kind of idea to what we could do at Fratton Park. So I think we could learn a lot from maybe get some information from them. It's a very similar sort of rebuild, similar sort of scale. They're spending about 45 million total rebuilding the whole ground. And I think we probably consider the ballpark to rebuild at Fratton Park